Keynote speaker will be Sir Toastmaster Sadun Fernando. He is the COO at CMEX. He's also the HRM Director, Performance Strategist at Blue Mango Partners. So Toastmaster Sadun is a master practitioner in NLP and has won the Worldwide Impromptu Speaking Championship in 2021. In addition, he became District 82 winner of evaluations and impromptu speaking in 2016. He is a member of Smedley Toastmasters in Sri Lanka since 2019, and he has also been the past president in the year 2014 in the same club. So join me in welcoming us, our last speaker for the day, Sir Toastmaster Sadun Fernando. The virtual stage is all yours, sir.
Hello, good evening. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Good evening, good evening. What a lineup to follow. To start with, I'm not wearing a jacket, I'm not very formal. And looking at the previous speakers and all of you, I feel a little intimidated. But it's okay. I hope what matters is what I say. And on that note, let me start by saying impromptu speaking is there is not a lot of theory behind it, and there is not a lot of subject matter that I can share that you can learn that is going to make you a better impromptu speaker, right? The more I have done this training session, and in fact, I believe the last time you all conducted this from NIBM also, I did the same presentation. So over the last few years, people have heard me so many times, so there's very less novelty that I can bring in, but the tips have become refined because I have also learned and I have put it into practice. And on top of that, I very strongly believe the content that an educational presenter presents doesn't make much of a difference if you are not sure what you're looking for, right? And a best example of that is this whole session. How many questions were asked at the end of the session? And like what Ravindra said, is it because everybody understood everything? Can I put some of you all into test? Can I just ask you the last 5 minutes that Ravindra said, the few tips that he said, can I get one person to repeat them without making a mistake? Trust me, you will get a huge gift that you're not going to regret if you can get all the points that Ravindra mentioned in the last few minutes. If you can get it right, if you can relate everything, I am going to give you something really, really big.
I mentioned about taking a famous quote and flipping it. He gave examples from other speakers of especially that acronym for fail, first attempt in learning, and those examples, yes.
That's one. And the last point that he mentioned, don't worry, Sachin, I'm not putting you in trouble. You have done very well, better than the rest of them here. Right. Okay. Anyways, jokes aside, the truth is, a lot of us attend to these seminars. Not only that, a lot of us attend to our lectures also, simply because we have to. Right? But the people who have learned and excelled, including myself, I see myself as a lifelong student, and a few people that I have learned also. They are very curious about what is it that they want to learn, right? So because of that, and because this is about impromptu speaking, table topics, and you have to test my impromptu speaking skills, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to say your Q&A session starts now. You've got approximately 45, maybe 50 minutes. As long as you ask questions, I'm going to be here. If you don't have any questions, it doesn't matter what I want to share. It won't make any difference in your speaking career. So let's put you to test. Let's see how much you want to learn, right? Let's see how serious you are that on a Saturday night you're willing to stay on for 4 hours and learn. Let's go.
I would like to raise the first question because I feel I find it difficult to do impromptu speaking. So could you tell me, when you get a topic, how do you outline or arrange your thoughts? How do you do that?
Okay, the short answer is you don't do that, Sachini. Because think of it this way. How in the world are you going to prepare a 2.5 minute speech in less than 5 seconds or 10 seconds? You can't, right? So if you think that the moment I hear the topic in my head, I'm going to program the opening, I'm going to program how the body is going to be structured, this is how I'm going to end, you're beating yourself too hard, and the chances are you're not going to even start, right? So there is no outline. But if you ask me, how do you continue? This is one thing that I share with people, is that when I hear a topic, or when you hear a topic, you must not try very hard to remember the topic word to word, right? I'll give you an example. I'm going to repeat this topic like in a contest, and anybody who can get this topic right, let's see. You can unmute yourself and say, right? The kite rises highest against the wind and not with the wind. The kite rises highest against the wind and not with the wind. Can one of you repeat the exact topic word to word, no mistakes?
Kite rise highest against the wind and not with the wind.
Very close. One word missing, Sachin. Anyone else want to try?
Kite rides highest with the wind, but not with the wind.
Sorry. Who's this? This is Kavinder.
Yes. A kite ride. Sorry.
Go for it, Kavinder. Try.
A kite rides highest with the wind, but not with against the wind, but not with the wind.
A few words missing here and there. Sachin was very close.
A kite rides not with a kite rides with the wind and not with the wind.
Close, Janvi, but a few words missing there as well. Again, in the interest of time, Janvi was Sachini was very close, but you missed the initial the. The kite rises highest against the wind and not with the wind, right? Again, I don't want you to remember the topic. I just did that demonstration to help you understand that if you beat yourself to remember each word of the topic, and if you are given a long topic like that, you're using your brain capacity. If you talk in computer terms, your RAM is used to remember the topic, which is not going to add any value to your story, to your speech. Instead, I'm still answering Sachini's question. What you do is, the moment you hear the topic, you try to interpret the topic in terms of a message or an idea. Now, let me ask this and demonstrate it for you. When you hear the topic, the kite rises highest against the wind and not with the wind. The kite rises highest against the wind and not with the wind. When I say that, what is like an idea, a message, or a theme that you get to your mind? Tell it to me in few words as possible. What is that message? Take a shot, go for it. We're here to learn.
So I'm not exactly sure about the theme, but
Go for it.
what I understood through it was that sometimes we like the expected outcome would not come out because it has the word against.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. It's close, but there is a bit of a extension to that.
It's
Keep
something like
trying.
that people who go against the norms of the society go far or go further than who go
Are learning. The rest of you are watching Netflix or browsing internet.
I would think that if we want to achieve something, like rather than doing the initial way, like thinking around the way could give a more like of a good thing, achievement.
Interesting. Yeah. Very close, Kitnuka. Thank you. And if I may summarize and tell you the shortest form of that is resistance in life will help you go further in life. Challenges in life will help go further in life. Simple as that. The kite rises highest against the wind and not with the wind. Right? See, I don't know how many of you have, how do you say, fly a kite? How many of you have flown a kite? But you know, the kite, it rises highest when you pull the kite in the opposite direction. If the wind is blowing this way and you pull the kite this way, right? For the resistance of the wind, the kite goes the highest. Similarly, I mean, Sachini, Ketnuka, and even Janandi got close. This topic is about resistance or failures or challenges in life and how, when you overcome that, you go further. That's a simple way. Right? Now, what I want you to realize is, as opposed to trying to remember each word of the topic, once you understand this is the idea, you start talking about that. And how do I organize my thinking for the next 2 to 2.5 minutes? Is I ask myself questions like, do I agree that challenges push us forward? What are the challenges in my life and how did that happen to me? What have I learned about challenges from the world? See, this is what I will do. It's a question and answer, question and answer. That's the structure. You probably won't utter the question out loud, but the question works in your mind and you utter the answer. That becomes your 2 to 2.5 minute speech. This is why I said table topics is not very complicated, right? But the trick is you got to be able to do it again and again. And you got to be able to do it in less than 5 seconds. And you got to be able to do it for a possibility of million and million topics. So you have to keep practicing. So Sachini, you don't plan the whole speech. The most important thing that you do is when you hear the topic, you don't try to remember word by word. I mean, if it is a short topic, you can always remember it. That's not a problem. But the challenge is you train yourself when you hear the topic, you ask yourself, what is the message or the idea? And simply, do I agree with it or do I disagree with it? If I agree with it, why? What do I have as examples or experience in my life to justify why I agree with it? For example, let's go back to that topic. The kite rises highest against the wind and not with the wind. If I look at my life, what are the challenges that have really pushed me to go forward? For once, when I finished my A levels, due to certain financial circumstances, I could not go to a university because I did London A level, so I had to go for a foreign university. I couldn't do that. Instead, what happened was I had to start work. And because I started work at a very young age, unqualified, I told myself I had to work twice as hard as anyone else if I want to get ahead in life. And because of that, I worked really hard. And I told myself, because I don't have an educational qualification, I have to learn from people, I have to learn on the job. And because of that, by the time I was 24 years old, and when most of my friends were coming out of university with not very much experience in work, I was already an assistant manager in a leading multinational bank. So the setback I had in my life where I could not go to university helped me propel faster than the others. So that's an example I'm going to share, right? So that's the structure. I hope that answers you. You don't have things sorted out beginning to the end. You simply look at it, you think of a message, and you ask yourself, do I agree or disagree? And then you just keep asking questions. Why do I think it is fair? Why do I agree with it? What experience from my life? Who in life has taught me about this? Where have I read about it from the popular culture, from famous people? You just keep talking about it. That's it.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very helpful. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Sir, I do have a question, sir. So when it comes to table topics, sir, there's a certain time limit to do the speech. So I always have this issue of sometimes going over time. So is there any advice which I could have?
Okay. It comes with experience. The simple thing that you have to do is, Janadi, when it comes to especially table topic contest, your qualifying timeline is you have to speak for minimum 1 minute and you cannot speak for more than 2 minutes, right? Which technically means, I could be wrong, maybe someone who's more familiar with the contest rules can correct me here. But what I believe is, green light comes up at 1 minute, amber comes at 1:30, and red light comes at 2 minutes. And red stays on, right? So purely from a contest point of view, the moment the green light comes, you know that you are qualified, that you can finish at any point. Because remember, nobody tells the judges that you spoke only for 1 minute, 15 seconds, or whether you spoke, nobody tells that. How the judging works is that the judges rate you irrespective. They don't know about your timing, they rate you. It is only the chief judge at the point of deciding who is first, second, third, takes the timer's report and see if there is anyone disqualified. That's it. So, which means by the time, Janati, you see the green in, you're good to stop at it. The trick is, you must stop at a point where your speech is at a high. You must stop at a point where you feel like you have delivered the message, you have given some value to the audience, and that's it. Use something creative and get out. There is nothing that you have to wait till the red comes. In fact, that is a disadvantage, or it's counterproductive. Because when you see the red, naturally your mind is a little rattled. You're like wondering, okay, how am I going to finish here, or all of that. Unless you're really experienced, it's not a good place to be. Right? So, always mentally prepare yourself. Okay, let's say green comes at 1 minute, although you're qualified, that is just too short, right? Make a mental note that when you see amber, you must try to wind up. That means you must try to come back, highlight on the key message that you're going to tell. If you're in the middle of a long drawn story, find a couple of quick lines to end the story, tell the message related to the audience and end it big. That's it. Do not try to go into red and think, or do not tell yourself, I have to speak till red. There's nothing like that. If you want a practical tip, the moment you see amber or yellow, start winding up and ending. It doesn't do any harm. Nobody's going to say that I spoke less or anything like that. Yeah?
Thank you so much, sir.
Cool. What else? Any other questions? If you don't, we can finish fast. Hi, who's this?
Hi, sir. So it's me. So I have a question. We don't always get topics that we know of, right? What happens if we get a topic that we don't understand a couple of words, or there are difficult words in the topic, so we don't understand what to talk on. So what would we do in such a situation?
Okay. How many of you have heard my story on David and Goliath? Raise your hand if you have heard it. Keitnuka has heard, Jandi's heard it. Yeah, probably last year I would have said the same. Anyone else? Janandi and Keitnuka has heard it. Anyone else? Well, Janandi and Keitnuka has to hear it again, unfortunately. I don't have anything as good as that to explain or to answer that question, right? This is why I said I've been doing this session for such a long time. I feel so old repeating some of the same examples, right? Okay. This is 2010 Smedley Club contest. Yeah, 2010. Now you know how ancient I am, right? Probably some of you were in grade 5 in 2010, some of you probably 5 years. Oh my God. So young. Yes, some of you are 5 years. Shania is like, or Shania is nodding her head. If you're born in 2000, if you're 19 right now, born in 2003, you're probably 6 or 7 years. Yeah, you're too young. Okay. Anyways, how many of you know David and Goliath? If I just say David and Goliath, raise your hand if you know David and Goliath. Sachini knows. Sabarja knows. Of course, Ravindu knows. Navin is saying Knight Rider. No, Navin, it's not Knight Rider. That is David Hasselhoff. Oh, but nice, nice. You know about Knight Rider, Navin? I want to know your age, right? That's David Hasselhoff. This is David and Goliath. Two different characters. All right. So there's only Sabarja and Sachini who knows it. Okay. So 2010 Smedley Club contest. This was the topic, right? And I am not going to tell my version of the story, or rather what I gave as a speech. I'm going to tell you what my friend did, right? I'm not going to mention his name out of respect. He's a very senior consultant at Vertusa right now, living in the United States. And at that time, he was one of those kids who had the highest GPA in Murto University computing faculty, right? IT faculty. Very smart guy, needless to say. Hardcore, one of those Sinhala Buddhists from Ananda, all of that. This guy comes on stage and the topic goes, David and Goliath, David and Goliath. This is exactly how he starts. I know one David. Who the hell is Goliath? And then for the next 2 to 2.5 minutes, this guy goes on to say that in life, sometimes you're given terrible, terrible topics, or life puts you in situations where you don't know what to do. What are you going to do? Are you going to just keep quiet, sit back and surrender, accept defeat, or are you going to do something? This guy spoke like that for 2.5 minutes. He gave a simple example of in life where he didn't know what to do and what he did. And he finished the speech, some 2 minute odd. He finished the speech, everybody gave a round of applause, and he walks back. I was seated in front because I was the speaker before that. You know how table topics work. Speakers are outside, one by one, they come in. I finished my speech, I sat in. My friend comes and he's going to sit right next to me. And as he's going to sit right next to me, this is exactly what he said. 1 minute silence for the judges. He comes near me, he's about to sit. He's like, Macha, who the hell is Goliath, man? And to cut a long story short, he was placed second in that contest. Right. So, coming back to the question that I believe it's Vihini who said it. Well, if you get a topic that you have no idea about, you're very unlucky, and that doesn't happen very often, right? However, if that happens in a contest, use your creativity. Play with words. By the way, David and Goliath is a story from the Holy Bible. It is about a shepherd boy who took down a trained and a seasoned Palestine warrior called Goliath. David is a tiny, puny shepherd boy. Goliath is a massive giant of a warrior. History books say that he was almost 7.5 feet tall, massive trained warrior, and David took him down in one slingshot, aimed right at his forehead, and he fell dead. So it's a story about the underdog. The topic basically spoke about how if you have faith in yourself, like I did in the previous exercise, you can give multiple interpretations to that topic, right? But the idea is it is the story of a small man beating a big man because of belief and strength. That's it. So,
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome. I'm still answering you. The point is, if you know about it, you can speak about it. If you don't, you can be creative about it. You can pick topics. You can pull words from the topic and play with it, right? And I'll give you another example. The very first time I was given the topic, a stitch in time saves the 9. How many of you know what it means? A stitch in time saves the 9. Who here knows about it? Really knows about it. Very good. Raise your hand if you know about it. All right, brilliant. So imagine I give this topic at your contest, a stitch in time saves the 9. I was like you when I heard it for the very first time. I had no idea what this was, right? So I asked myself, what am I going to do? Am I going to say, hey, contest master, that's unfair. I don't know this. Give me another topic. It doesn't work that way. You have to. So what did I do? A stitch in time saves the 9. The first thought that came to my mind is, okay, this is talking about something like nip it in the bud. Take action when you can so things won't turn bad. That's what I thought and I did. And it was right because it was closer to the meaning of that statement. The story of a stitch in time saves the 9 is, if you look at a yarn which is 9 yards, a woven yarn, right? If one string has come out, and if you stitch that as soon as you see the string coming out, you can save the whole 9 yards of the woven yarn, right? But if you don't stitch it in time, the one string will come out and it will pull the whole thing. You know how clothes, the woven clothes, one string, if you pull it, it can just destroy the entire thing. So the idea of that is do what needs to be done or fix damages in time. If you do that, you don't have to face serious repercussions later on. Point being, I didn't know about that topic. I just heard that topic, picked a few words, made my own interpretation and delivered. And if I remember right, that contest also I think the first or the second. Coming back to what Vini asked, there's going to be a day that you are going to come across a topic that you haven't heard before. It's very practical, it's very possible. Doesn't matter how much you have read and listened and how senior you are or how long you have been doing it, there's always going to be a day, there's going to be an interesting topic, right? It comes down to creativity and experience. My only advice is don't go hard on yourself if you give a bad speech because you don't know the topic, right? However, make sure that if you get a topic and you don't know about it, today or the day that you hear that topic is the last day that you don't know about it. Which means after the contest, after you give the speech, whatever, you go back, you read up on it, you talk to people and you ask, what does this topic mean? Right? Let me relate it to where I started. You must be curious to learn. It's a life skill. You must always be willing to learn what you do not know, because becoming a great table topic speaker is that. Your ability to relate to topics when they are given to you in a random order. And remember this, you can't speak about things that you don't know about. If you can be creative, but you can't always, unless you're a Sri Lankan politician. That's when you can come and talk about everything that you don't know, lie like there is no tomorrow, and the stupid people in Sri Lanka, well, you and me included, will believe. But if you are an educated table topic speaker contesting in a prestigious format like Toastmasters or Gavel at NIBM, don't expect to bluff and get out of it. Creativity is very different. Being an idiot and bluffing is very different. You want an example? Listen to Ajit Nivat Cabral or Vimal Veeravansa, or for that matter, any of the Rajapaksas. Anyways, I'm not anti-government, but I'm just saying, stupid people are stupid, right? But don't remain stupid. When you learn about what you don't know, you become educated. And when you become educated, although the last time you were given a topic and you had no idea about it, that's the last time you get stuck on that topic. Thereafter, and also the previous technique that I said, try not to beat yourself over the topic. Try to relate it to a theme, a message, an idea, because then you can talk about it. Right? So Veeni, I took a bit of time because that's an important question. I know that's an area that a lot of people struggle with. So yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very clear.
Welcome.
So can I know how to make the ending or the conclusion like very interesting? Now, I know at when you're having table topics, your conclusion should be something a little bit memorable, so that you can give some advice to the people. So I want to know like what can you use specifically to make it interesting?
So that's a bit of a tricky question. Is that Shania or Shania?
It's Shania.
Right. Okay. Right. It actually depends on the topic and how you have constructed the rest of the speech, right? So there is no standard template or a quick tip to say this is how you make an ending interesting. Because I have seen some amazing endings in my almost 12, 13 years of speaking table topics. Some brilliant. People have fallen on stage. People have started stepping backward out of stage. People have picked up random objects on their way to speak. My God, I've seen it all, right? So it depends on the topic and the context. However, let me tell you this. The way you end a table topic has a lot to do with how well you, or rather how well the results are in favor of you. In other words, when you have a really, really good ending, you will definitely end up in the top 3. So what you need to do is, in your ending, you must either pack it with humor, you must either make it very emotional. Either way, you have to relate it to the audience. It has to be one of those things that you're going to say that, pause for about 1 or 2 seconds, and you're going to let everyone hang. That's a great ending. Right? It could be anything. The dramatization comes in, you're going to say it and you're going to be like, of course, it can't be like, well, that's all I have to say about that topic. Thank you very much, everyone. That's not very effective. Okay? You can't say a very cliche and then expect it. However, you can say something. Let's go back to a stitch in time saves the night. You can end it. Like I said, it depends on the context, the story that you say. You can end it saying, ladies and gentlemen, what are those strings that are hanging loose in your life? Remember to fix them, or else you will lose the whole 9 yards. Now say something like that and pause, it has impact, right? So it can be where you repeat the topic, it can be something related to that. However, it depends on the topic and the way you have constructed your content and everything. Make it emotional, make it funny, make it a twist or a surprise. Right? A few days ago, I was at a club contest taking part, and then the topic was, the bad news is time flies. The good news is you are the pilot. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you are the pilot. Okay, let's test what I said. Would any one of you like to give me an idea? What's the message? What's the idea in that topic? The bad news is time flies. The good news is you are the pilot. What's the message you want to speak about in that.
It's basically you have control of the time, or like whatever you get to do, you have the total control of it. So you're supposed to
Okay.
manage it.
Okay, very good, very good. That's by and large one interpretation, one of the most general and common ones. Anyone else?
Manage time accordingly.
Okay, you can take that stance as well.
Time goes, do whatever you feel.
Okay, Kitnage. Nice, nice. Yeah, I like that. Time goes, you do whatever you like. That's good. Anyone else? Tedani.
I would say that we cannot control time. With time flies, and we don't have the control over it. So, but the good thing is we can always control what we are going to do with it. So we can, even though time flies, it's our responsibility, or it's in our hand what we are going to do with it before the time flies. Yeah.
Excellent. Tedani, tell me a personal experience or a story related to that from your life. Where you didn't care or it didn't matter.
For that, I would say that for me, I had to for my personal, because of my personal issues and all, I had to start my higher education very later than others, and I had to see my friends, schoolmates, all are going to universities and all that, but I had to start late. But I think because now I have started from here, I am enjoying it more than them, and I have I think I have gained a lot of things because I'm now in here, that I have accepted my situation. Okay, that has gone. Now I am in here and I'm having the best time from what I have right now, like that, I think.
Well done. You just gave a speech, a table topic. Right. So there you go. That's a trick. And again, why did I bring that up? To tell you that when I had to speak on that topic, right? When they said the bad news is time flies, the good news is you are the pilot. And I started like this. I said, whenever you're stuck in a diesel queue, whenever you are at home and there is a power cut, when time flies, is it really bad news? Or isn't it good news that the time flies? So I disagreed with the topic. I didn't disagree simply by that. I gave examples to say that, hey, look, time and all these matters that are outside of you, it doesn't matter whether they are good or bad if you look inside. Because I highlighted on the second part of the topic and I emphasized on that, saying, you are the pilot. The good news is that focus on the good news. If you have to, you can worry about everything under the sun, and when you worry about it, it doesn't. Not only time, anything. So focus. And how I ended it, something, somebody must have the recording, but if I remember, it was along the lines where I said, don't focus about the bad news, whether time is good or bad or anything. You are the pilot, focus on that. So determine what you want and go for it. Right? So that's an ending. I didn't agree with the topic, I disagreed with the topic, and I went back to it and I said it. Right? The important thing that I want to share is you need to grow confidence in the fact that in table topics there is no perfect speech, and all the topics do not have one version of it. That is the beauty of table topics. You have the license to be creative, provided you can support that argument, right? So you can take any stance on the topic, provided you have enough experience. Now this comes down to one of the, considering we had time, one of the important things that I want to share with you is that becoming a table topic speaker is not like facing an exam. It's not like oh my God, I have my table topics contest next week, so I'm going to read up on all the proverbs, all the similes, all the... No, right? The way how I prepare is I try to clear my mind, because remember what I said before, you cannot talk about things that you do not know. But if you take a moment and think, you know a lot of these things, right? You can use creativity, that's a different story. You can come up with stories on the fly, that's fine. However, if you take a moment to remember and think about the things that has happened in your life, as a child, in school, with friends, with family, the trips that you have gone, the books that you have read, the songs that you have listened to, the famous people who have inspired you, people from your family, your grandfather's stories, grandmother's stories. There is enough and more little nuggets of wisdom, these golden nuggets that you have that you can use in speeches. Of course, what is important is when you hear that topic, you must be in a state of mind where your mind is just clear. When you hear the topic, there is an idea that comes to your mind. And as the idea comes, your mind will start popping up stories and things related to that. You just have to flow with it. Think of it this way. When Mitchell Stark or who else? Trent Bolt, when they all Lasit Malinger bowl at that crazy speed of 140 plus kilometers per hour, right? And the ball has to travel only 21 yards. It literally happens in a split second. If you have to think and remember all the shots that you have practiced the years, and then decide for yourself, if the ball pitches on the offside and if it is closer to the wicket, I'm going to put my front leg and I'm going to drive. If the ball pitches halfway and it is on my leg, I'm going to move to the right. You can't process if you have to do that. But how often do you see the magic of Virat Kohli just walks out and hit that 150 kilometers per hour ball in equal pace over the bowler's head to a six? You think he sits and thinks about it? And how often does he do that? No, it's called you're in that state of flow. Of course, that happens because Virat Kohli for the past 25 plus years has been practicing cricket. And for the past 2008-9 time onwards, almost 13-14 years, he's been playing cricket. Right? So becoming a very good table topic speaker is about a lifestyle. It's about constantly learning. It's about whenever you hear something, you think of it, hey, can I give a speech on that? It's about listening to other speakers. It's about learning. That's what happens, right? And one day, if your time is right in a competition, you're just going to give a speech that is better than the rest, and you might get a certificate, you might be called a champion, whatever. It doesn't change anything. What happens is you become very good at this. I mean, Ravindu was here at the last Thursday at the club contest. Somebody might ask, actually a lot of people did come and ask me like, dude, you just won the world championship of impromptu speaking last October. Like, are you so greedy? Why are you back at the club in like 3 months? I'm like, dude, no, I don't even know where these certificates are. It's not that. It's just that it's a lifelong thing. It's a lifelong thing of doing what you like, and when you keep doing it, because remember, repetition is the mother of mastery, right? You want to be a master at something, you got to keep repeating it. Recently, I shared this online. This is a nice line that just came to my mind, is that if you want to enjoy the benefits of success, you must suffer the boredom of consistency. Right? If you want to be successful at something and you want to enjoy the benefits of that, you must be willing to suffer the consistency of practice and repetition, or rather the boredom of it. It's no fun doing this again and again and again. Very often when you get the topic wrong, when you don't have that, but it's those hundreds and hundreds of attempts that one day at a contest, when it clicks, it clicks. Right? So that's what you need to remember and keep in mind. I don't know why I went there, but that's what I want to share. Right? Ravind, you've been having your hand raised from the moment we start. Why? You have a question? Are you even here, Ravindu? Okay. Any questions?
Sir, I do have a one. I mean, I hope this not goes out of the boundaries. But now we all talk like to be how to be a good and unique table topic speaker. So I had this thought in corner of my mind that if I can like think how the table topic master thinks about the topic, because he or she would be the one giving the topic, like construct the topic or take
No,
the.
okay, look. Okay. Do I understand your question right? Are you thinking that you want to think about the topic before it comes to figure out what the topic is and then try to?
No, I'm just thinking if we like needs to open door for like more like a unique, I mean, to be a good speaker, like having a third person like perspective would be quite enough. Like I would say, I might be wrong, but
No,
it's
no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, so here's another technique that I share. Okay, I'll come back to the question, Kitnuka, right? A third person's point of view is always very interesting, right? Now, this is a thought experiment that I try in most of my sessions. I ask people, all of you have heard the story of the Red Riding Hood. Yes? All of us hate the big bad wolf, right? Because we tell the story from the Red Riding Hood's point of view. Oh, I'm this little two goody shoes. I'm going to take care of my grandmother who's not well. My mother gave me the soup. Yes. Tell the same story from the wolf's point of view. Yes, I am the big bad wolf. For the last 3 days, my cubs have had nothing to eat. I need to go out and get some food. If I don't get any food, my cubs are going to die in hunger. And here I am in the woods looking for food, and I see a house and I get a nice smell. And I see there is food. Too bad that I'm a wolf and I eat meat. But my cubs are hungry. Who's going to feed them? Imagine how the entire story, now who's the villain? The wolf is just a kind mother or a father trying to feed the kids. Who are we to decide that the wolf cannot attack Red Riding Hood or the grandmother? I mean, this gets very philosophical, but my point is the moment you change the point of view of your story, you can interpret that message in a very different way. So if that is what you are asking, Kitnuka, of course, that's brilliant. Maybe I misunderstood your question where don't try to think too much about what the topic is going to be. That's a very futile effort because there's millions and millions of possibilities, right? Instead, focus on what you know and like what you just said, which is really good. I mean, I thought about it, but I never. It's okay. Good that you ask questions. This is why I say you should ask questions. So once you change the point of view, the perspective, you come up with a whole new, like your possibilities expand, right? Your possibilities expand. And that's really good, actually. That's actually one of the best ways to learn. Like, how many of you have heard of Professor Jordan B. Peterson? Man, you guys are undergraduates. You should know. He's like, so Barja, you're interesting. You know a lot of things. Good. Okay, you guys are undergraduates. You guys are academics. Professor Jordan B. Peterson is probably the rock star intellectual of our generation, right? He's an academic superstar, right? You need to read his books and listen to him. He's brilliant, right? Anyways, he says this should happen in your undergraduate studies. If you're not doing it, I hope Dr. Buddhima is taking notes. One way of learning about things is you have to learn about their counter argument, arguments against it, right? And you need to train yourself to argue against your point. That is when you understand what is real. For example, right? For example, okay, everybody is talking about, by the way, just to get an idea, most of you are management students or IT students or?
Sir, actually, some of us are from the language department as well, sir. School of
Oh,
Languages.
right. Okay. Good. Okay, let's take language for that matter. You take the great Shakespeare, right? If you want to appreciate Shakespeare's writing, you have got to write an appreciation of why you like him, then you got to criticize him as well, right? That's how you improve your critical thinking. That's a wonderful thing. Again, if you want to become a table topic speaker or an impromptu speaker that wins, you must be able to argue for the point and against the point equally. Right? You must be able to argue for the point, and when you can argue for the point and against the point equally well, that means your knowledge about the topic is so wide. That is what Professor Peterson tries to tell you. If you want to be a true intellectual, do not be held on your point of view or your argument. Do not be on the left or the right of the argument and stay there. No, you've got to go to the other side and try to attack yourself as an opponent. That's when you expand your thinking. You learn better. So, Kitnuka, thank you for asking that question. Took me in a completely different tangent, but I hope you don't stop at one point of view, right? If you want to, again, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus, so I learn more than I learn about the Bible and my faith. I always listen to people who have an argument against Christianity, right? And when I try to debate with my faith, with my community, when I try to debate, I always take the side of the non-believer. And when I try to do that, we learn so much. My faith grows, right? So anything in life that you want to learn, always try to take the argument against it and see how much you find. And then be very intelligent about discerning between this and making your conclusion. Right? Again, how is this relevant to table topics is the fact that you need to be able to think and speak. That is table topics. You need to have different points of view. You need to have different opinions. You need to know about, you got to be able to argue for Rajapaksa government and against it as well. Right? That's when you become intelligent beyond any Rajapaksas and see that we have a problem that is beyond one family or 225 people. We have a problem of 22 million people and almost 75 years old. Right? So you want to become a great table topic speaker, you want to become a great person, an intelligent person who knows about things. That is when some person gives you a random topic, you can talk about it. So do not focus on just winning a table topic contest. That'll be a waste of time. Right? So you focus on becoming an intelligent person, knows about things, can talk about things. And I'll end with where I started. You can't speak of things that you don't know. However, what you don't know today can be the last day if you decide to learn about it. What happens is over a period, what you don't know shrinks. So any topic that is given, you can talk about it. So become a lifelong learner. Collect your material, evaluate them, criticize them, have different opinions about things. And then you don't care about what's the topic they're giving. You've always got something to talk about it. And when you are confident and clear, everything else about stage crafting, body language, vocal variation, all of these things will flow. Right? That is how in T20 cricket you see people batting like this reverse sweeps, all of that. Why? Because your fundamentals are so strong, then you start showing your flamboyance. Then you start doing the creative openings and the endings and everything. That's when everybody's being like, wow, that's an amazing table topic. All right, I think our time's up. Good, y'all actually asked questions for one. Well, y'all asked a few questions, I spoke for one now. Either way, I hope you learned something.
Thank you so much, sir, for bringing us to an end with an eye-opener. I'm sure this was such an incredible event. So I hope the participants really were glad that they were part of it.